Joining today from the Department of A-Trade Consumer Protection, it's my friend Michael. Michael, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
Jeremy, I am doing great. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
I bet you are, because we've got a scam spotlight for you today, and it goes to one that you'll know it when you hear it, and that's a Publishers Clearinghouse. But it's an imposter scam, and I said I wouldn't say anything, to get myself in trouble on this one, but it's interesting to me because this is a national thing that happens each and every year, right? That the Publishers Clearinghouse is out there doing some stuff. But as we've talked from time and time again, when these things are out there and going, that's when the scammers like to jump on board and hit you with, well, it's happening right now, so I can probably scam you. So what are you hearing on this specific imposter scam with the Publishers Clearinghouse?
Well, this one is one that has such name recognition. We were talking earlier, going back to the days of Ed McMahon showing up on the front porch with a great big check and saying, hey, you won, and it's legitimate. People really do win with Publishers Clearinghouse. So when you have that long history of true winners and there being legitimacy behind it, it becomes a little bit easier for the scammers to try and impersonate that and say, hey, because you're expecting that people win, so maybe it is you. So how this one's working right now is, so if you get a phone call and it says, congratulations, you won the Publisher Clearinghouse sweepstakes, and you're going to be getting, we'll just say $5,000 a month for the rest of your life, and you won a new truck. We keep seeing the prices get higher and higher and higher. Mm-hmm. And then you're excited and you're caught up in the moment and you're all emotional. And then they tell you, well, what you got to do is pay $1,500 in the taxes and fees. And then just send that to us in these kind of obscure ways, like, credit card or wire some money, or sometimes they'll say, send us gift cards, because then we're going to re-gift them to somebody else so you can pay it forward. And they'll have some type of excuse that makes it seem legitimate. But the key is they want you to pay the taxes and fees on what you just won. So that, you want me to keep going?
Yeah, no. Well, I interject and say that right there, right away, on the fact that a couple of key things that you mentioned in there. The prize is getting bigger. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, not only is it money, it's a truck, and when it's in the big one, it's money for life, and this and this. You start to hear those red flags kind of pop up, and the big one in here is how to pay it, and that is a common theme across a lot of different scams that you guys see day in and day out. Is that not correct?
Every single day. The paying by gift card is one of the biggest pains that we've seen in the way that scams are being perpetrated, because it's untraceable. It's the same as sending cash. And so they have all these different ways that they say, oh, well, these justifications as to why a gift card is important and these different ruses like this around it. But the key here is they want you to pay in some type of mechanism that can't be, or be very, very difficult to trace back and target them. And so each one time that you hear this, you'd be thinking, well, if there's a flag that comes up and says, well, this isn't normal, well, that should be a flag for you to say, I need to take a step back here, and it's probably not legitimate.
Are you also getting reports on like personal information being asked? So not only they're getting you on paying the taxes here, but is there identity theft issues related to this scam, or other areas that they're collecting your information and you really don't know who these folks are?
In this one, there's probably a certain component of that where they're looking for a little information, but that's not the target of this particular scam. This is really trying to get you to pay money. And they've created the scenario in which it makes sense for you to have to pay that money because you want something else. We know that taxes are a way of life. Fees are a way of life. We all know that if you actually inherit some money or win some money or given some money, there's that capital gain tax or something that goes with it. So it almost has legitimacy to why you would need to pay this amount. And so they might ask for a little personal information as to where to send it or what to get it. But that could also tie in potentially to what you're speaking of. If they don't want you to send gift cards or don't want you to wire, and they say, look, can you give us your bank information so we can send this money to you? We have to set it up for you to get this $5,000. We're not going to send you a check. Send us your routing number, send your account number. That could certainly be exploited down the road on how this could be used.
Yeah. And just finally, for this one specifically, talk about the unsolicited telephone call, because it begins there. And again, stand true to a lot of the scams that you see when it comes to tell anything. It starts with that unsolicited phone call.
It absolutely does. We've talked for so many times about how that call being received unprompted, uninitiated. And here the key is to remember is you can't win something you didn't enter. And so if somebody calls you and says, you want to publish a killing house, and I never entered for that, well, that's because you didn't. And so you always want to make and be suspicious and bring a kind of a red alert in your head of these unbelievable claims of winnings and prizes and things. You're like, this is too good to be true, because it always is. And so that unsolicited part is the key. You always want to think about, where is that call coming from?
And do you see, Michael, too, I guess, as far as why you guys share this information? This scam is hitting home. This is happening in Wisconsin.
It absolutely is. Last month, this was the highest call that we received on our hotline and our call center, asking us, is this legitimate? I got this phone call. They're asking me to do this. Is this correct? They want me to use gift cards to pay, or pay over one of these peer-to-peer apps, like Zelle or Venmo or something. And is that right? Is that how they do it? Of course, we quickly tell them, no, that's not. Thank you for calling us. But that is why that is why we're here talking about it today, because you would think something that's been around for so long would have run its course, and it's not. It's still happening.
And I hope that people understand that we don't just talk about these things just because. There are rhymes and reason, and people are actually getting scammed by these or other very tempting things. And again, they hit you unexpectedly. They're getting you because of using just classic, what I think are classic tactics. And I know, Michael, you would hate me for this too, but we're not here to downplay the fact that we talk about this all the time. We really want to remind folks that it does happen every single day, and if you let your guard down that one time, you can be hit. So it's not that we're trying to scold anybody, and I don't say we. I mean, you're giving us great information, but truly, you gotta keep listening and keep your guard up.
You said something that was really important, and I appreciate it. When we have the opportunity to meet here and talk about these things, these are current issues. They're current, relevant things that we're bringing awareness to, because they're happening right now. And the other important thing that you said was, don't ever be embarrassed if you all of a sudden fall victim for it. These scams have gotten so good, and they're so detailed. And as we talked about here with this particular one, they use that emotional response and attachment to things to get you to react really quickly before you're thinking about it. And so it makes sense how people would fall. Like, if people didn't fall for them, you and I wouldn't be talking about them. And the reason that they're falling for them is because they're so good. They're so intricate and so detailed and so easy to believe. And so I say, please don't be embarrassed, and to call us and give us a chance, not only to help you maybe recover anything that you lost, but more importantly, to help bring awareness to the issue and prevent others from being victimized as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. And I said I never want to come off sounding too cocky or the knowledge that I have everything. I have fallen victim to scams that have been simpler than this, because of how easy it is to catch you off guard and take advantage of that moment. So I'm certainly glad we get to talk about these things in depth, because I think it's really important. So if somebody does want to report this or learn more about any of the stuff we talked about today, how can they do that, Michael?
Well, the first place I would recommend everybody go is maybe check out our new and improved consumer guide, which is ConsumerGuide.wi.gov. It talks about not only this scam, but many, many other, and gives you tips on how to prevent it. If you have questions because you got this phone call that you won $5,000 in a truck and you're not sure if it's real, please give us a call at 1-800-422-7128. Or if you just want to ask a question or forward us an email that you got because you're questioning it, you can do that at DATCP hotline at wi.gov.
And I never really thought about that, calling you guys and saying, hey, am I crazy or is this happening? Kind of makes you feel better about what's going on out there.
It was, and it's great as, our team here is so exposed to those phone calls, and they have such great awareness of everything that's happening in the variation. And so if these things kick off, it only takes 2 or 3, and all of a sudden we have that awareness, and we can quickly tell you, that we've been getting calls all week on that. That's something that's going around again. Probably should delete it or not respond, and help them not be a victim.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time as always. Love talking with you, and we'll talk to you next month.
As always, appreciate the opportunity to help share the word. Thanks, Jeremy.